Welcome back to TDA Talks. This is episode 6. We are already halfway through the year by now. And I've got a very interesting topic today. So I'm sitting down with Dani, the founder and franchisor of Royal Stacks, a brand that is not only known for its incredible burgers, but a brand that can be recognised across Australia. Plus, he has a knack for immersing himself in the Melbourne culture, which I've seen very few able to do, and I've seen them at multiple events that I attend myself. So, Dani, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Thanks for that. I can't top that. But my name's Dani Zeini, and I love working in restaurants and talking about restaurants and everything about restaurants.
Perfect. And so then can you share a little bit about your journey and what first got you into hospitality?
Yeah, so mum and dad, when they came to Australia, they worked in a factory and they saved up some money and they bought their first business, which was called Nan's Cafe in Oakley, and probably my first iteration with hospitality. I was 5 or 6, and mum and dad didn't have daycare or creche, just lived at the cafe all day, every day. There was no one else to put me if I'm not at my aunties or my cousins, or was the shop. And yeah, we just grew up around hospitality, and then got my first job outside the family when I was 18 in a cafe, and just absolutely fell in love with it.
Yep. And for those who haven't experienced it yet, how would you describe Royal Stacks?
I think Royal Stacks is fit for a king or queen. You know, it's really high quality, chef driven products that are executed at a really high level, and there's a lot of thought that's gone into the burgers, and I think you'd have an enjoyable experience.
See, for me, I've tried the burgers and I love the burgers. If I'm anywhere and there's the option of Royal Stacks, I'll always gravitate towards there. So if you're listening and you haven't tried them, highly recommend you do that. But Dani, what sparked the idea of Royal Stacks?
Well, I had a restaurant in Dandenong, and first time I took a holiday to the United States, I got to sample some incredible burgers over there. And our only reiteration with burgers here in Melbourne were either Macca's or Hungry Jack's or the fish and chip shop burger. So it was the first time I got to taste a burger with some thought and produce-driven product, and just absolutely fell in love with it and the culture around it as well.
Was there a defining moment where you thought, hey, I can make this work in Australia?
I think, that would have been when we came back and we started mucking around in the kitchen and experimenting, and then people really took to it, and I think got a bit of a following, and I thought, okay, I think we've got something here. And when the restaurant became known for burgers, I thought, okay, let's see what we got.
And when did you realize that Royal Stacks could become more than just one location and like a brand that can be franchised?
I don't know about franchising. I didn't think my intention wasn't to start franchising, but I did have an intent to have a multi location business, and the thought process behind that was, I guess, I want to challenge myself firstly, and I think we did have something to offer, and I thought it'd be exciting.
What was exciting about it?
I don't know, just the thought of starting a brand and having multi locations, and influencing the food scene. I think to Melbourne's such a rich food city, and to have some significance in one particular area, I thought that was pretty special. And to be known, if you have burgers in Melbourne, that you got a Royal Stacks as part of it, I thought that was really cool.
Is there some type of feeling you feel when you're walking past somewhere or you're sitting down somewhere and you see someone eating a Royal Stacks burger?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's wild stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Vibe. Just walk, like catching a tram or walking down the city, and you see some of the Royal Stacks bags. That's a trip for sure.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned to me that you have 6 locations at the moment.
We're at 15 locations now.
15 locations, wow.
Yeah.
And all Victoria-based.
All Victoria-based.
So scaling a brand, it's tricky, right? How did you develop systems and processes that can be taught to the franchisees?
Well, I think, we already, through my restaurant, I already had strong systems and I always tried to elevate and we always sought advice and I always did courses and encouraged my staff to do courses. And I think we had developed a bit of a system in the restaurant, which helped me go into real estate. So we had already good fundamentals. So I think the step wasn't too much of a reach for me because it was already a good baseline. But having said that, there's, a lot we've learned over the last 10 years and a lot still to develop.
And what is one kind of takeaway that you took from that?
From
scaling the business,
from
replicating the processes to
not
other
for
locations.
the faint-hearted. It is very challenging, and I'm learned heaps. And I think my superpower has been my naivety and my ignorance in the process. Because knowing what I know now would have approached it a whole lot differently. Maybe wouldn't have even done it. But yeah, I think the naivety and that true curiosity and the willingness to learn and wide-eyed and open and excited about it is probably the most powerful thing that you need to scale, because knowledge is one thing, but to put it into practice and have the energy to put into practice and the willpower and the acceptance of not knowing what you don't know, that's probably the biggest challenge to scale.
100%, especially with you ran a business prior to this, right? So even with TDA, this was, we've been running for a few years now. So I think even deciding to do franchising was a new and bright idea, and no one started in Australia before. So TDA is the first tax depreciation franchise in the country. And for us to have 6 locations at the moment, 2 in Victoria, 3 in New South Wales and 1 in Queensland, with 2 in training at the moment. But I guess once this episode airs, they'll be operating. So we'll have 8 operating franchisees. So I hear you when the processes, you have to have that open-minded and jump into it and learn to pivot, right? That ability to pivot and realize, okay, this is not working, this does work, and being able to then replicate that across locations.
100% agree.
Do you find that some locations need different processes than other locations, or is it across the board kind of the same thing?
I think you keep the fundamentals the same, and a lot of the processes are mirrored with other businesses. I think you need to keep an open mind around your surroundings and the community. And I think I personally don't like the cookie cutter concept. And I think you need to have a real curiosity to the community and offer something unique to the community. So absolutely need to think a little bit differently for every location.
And what were some early challenges in scaling from, local spots to citywide brand?
I think the first one is just because one person supported you in one location doesn't mean they're going to support you in the second location. I think that's a powerful one that I learned pretty early on. And that was really eye-opening to me. And secondly, I think as you scale, especially in hospitality, you kind of lose the coolness, the little edginess that you had in that first spot. And I think you need to accept that, okay, you are a brand now and you are a business and you need to approach it differently. And it's bringing that same energy from store 1 to store 10 that's probably been the most challenging for me. Because, monotony and just the usual practices of every day kind of, it's just another day, but you have to really bring that real energy to store 10, 11 as the same you brought to store one. And I think you're really letting your guests down if you don't bring that energy. And if you're not putting that energy in, I think people could really feel it. And what made Raw Stacks really great early on was that energy. And coming to the realization that I wasn't bringing my A game was probably the hardest part.
And how do you rectify that?
Reassess, re-fall in love with the process and understand why I'm in the game for and what my obligation is, and probably really identifying what made Raw Stacks great and doubling down on that, being true to the brand and just being a better leader and bringing the energy, like I'm going to bring the umbrella and cover the weather wherever I go. And I think just realizing that has been a lengthy journey, but I really do love what I do. And I think not being scared to love what I do and show that passion is what I have to do now.
What helps you remember you love what you do?
Probably understanding that it's my calling and that, being a modest person, that it's okay to understand that you might be good at something and sharing it. So, yeah, just really dealing with my guests, seeing my team grow, doing the product development, understanding the product more and more every day, what makes it special. Like I'm looking at it through the same eyes I looked at it 10 years ago, and I'm like falling in love with the brand again.
Do you find yourself going in and trying to eat the burgers to remember why you do what you do, why you love what you do?
Oh, that's never been an issue, man. I could eat the burgers all day, every day. Like I still eat a lot of burgers and I genuinely really, really love it. It's just the business side that I guess I'm learning to navigate a lot better.
Yeah.
Dealing with the daily pressures, scaling as you said, is difficult. And just separating that kind of, okay, we're clocking in at 9 to 5 to do the office, but 5:30 you're in the restaurant, show that passion again.
And how did you select your first franchisee? Was there a process there? Did someone just jump on and say, hey, I want to be part of this? Or were you already thinking of the new locations and you just kind of handed the baton over?
Well, I mean, if you look at any great chain that started, a lot of them did work with family and friends. So, having my uncle as the first sort of franchisee was a big help. Yep. Somebody that knew what he was doing, has been in hospitality before, and giving you the freedom to learn. And, if I make a mistake, I learn on our own time. So that was really helpful. I think if I went straight to franchising without that buffer, it would have been a different story.
I could imagine having that buffer and that relationship prior to also would have its pros and cons, right? How do you deal with the disagreements? Were there any?
No, I mean, we just stuck to the fundamentals of hospitality. So there wasn't really that many disagreements with the family. But now as the business is maturing, and I think our systems are getting more sophisticated and we've got more people in the network, I think the biggest adjustment has been looking at the brand as a whole.
Yep.
So not as individual business. So what might be best for Brunswick might not be best for Moorabbin. What might be best for Moorabbin might not be best for the CBD stores. So that has been the biggest challenge. And I think, again, I'm really fortunate to have really great people. As my leadership gets better and I understand the business better, they're allowing me to grow and really backing me.
Yeah.
So although it might be challenging for them, they're saying, okay, all right, well, we hear you. Let's give you a chance. And yeah.
That's nice. And what's the biggest lesson you've learned about supporting franchisees while scaling the brand?
Yeah. The biggest lesson is, again, probably, when you do a great business, you're the starter or you're the founder, and it could be any business, the mechanic, or it could be a fish and chip shop, or it could be, TDA. Like, you're so passionate about that brand, it makes you a genius. Like, it inside out. Like it's just, it's oozing through your veins. You're thinking about it all day, every day. You've played every scenario in your head a million times. Like it's almost like, you know, mathematics in your brain. It's quantum equations. I always say to the guys, like, told me Dr. Strange in the multiverse because I've seen this business in every dimension, So
Yeah.
I've thought about it, dreamt about it. So just understanding that firstly, and that how do you teach that or how do you pass that on? And I was also probably undervalued what I do in hospitality because I actually thought that whatever I could do, anybody could do. Literally, like if it's just flipping burgers, you say g'day, it's that easy, but it's challenging. It is challenging, and business is challenging at times. And I think teaching people not only how to run a great restaurant, but teaching people how to run a great business has probably been the biggest challenge.
100%. And so in saying that, then what would be the advice you give other entrepreneurs wanting to scale their hospitality businesses?
Have a buffer zone, seek advice. If I was to start this thing again, I would have tried to get a investor or somebody who's in the industry to come in to help because, the last 10 years has been a massive learning curve with a lot of mistakes. And I could have avoided them if I had the right partnership. So I think that's a strong one. I think partnership is something you should get close to. If you've got a business you want to scale, start looking for the mentor or a group that could help you scale because you've got a lot to learn. And, if I didn't have the support of family, we would have been in trouble.
100%. And you kind of keep going back to these points on leadership, a team culture, and that customer experience as well that you hinted to. So what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership to me is making those around me better. I think I've done that naturally. Leadership is putting people in the position to succeed. If something goes wrong, it's always your fault. If something's good, it's always the team's benefit, or they deserve the credit. Leadership is understanding that you're going to make mistakes, owning them. Leadership is willingness to learn, to grow. I think all that stuff.
Yeah. And how do you keep your team motivated then and aligned with your vision?
Yeah, I think that's something I've been pretty poor at that, I guess, 9.5 years of this business. I mean, in four walls of a restaurant, I'm a great leader. I'm a terrific leader, I feel, because I lead from the front. I'll do everything in the restaurant. There's nothing I wouldn't do. I do a lot of the grunt work. I absorb a lot of the pressure so the guys could be free and be themselves. I could do that in four walls, but scaling and multi venue business has been very challenging to me as a leader.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot. I've learned how shit I am.
No,
Also,
I doubt that.
I'm starting to learn what I'm good at now recently, and I'm starting to really, I guess, stand on my own 2 feet. So I think leadership for me is just acknowledging that the buck stops with me and there's nowhere to hide.
Yep.
And just face it and front up.
So, and accountability is huge in business, right? It's the difference between learning from a mistake and repeating it. Can you share a moment where your team made a big difference to the business?
Yeah, I think, recently, we've doubled down on our local area marketing and really, you talk about the points that made Royal Stacks great. It was a real community business, and we kind of fallen away from that, and we try to do different things and try to act like a big brand without really understanding it. And we've went away from what we were. It's a community-based business. And the last couple of months, the team got together in the office and we put together a community-based program, and they've executed at a really high level, and they've gone out to the community and been involved in the community and become partners with a lot of local events, sporting clubs, schools, and that's been probably one of the greatest things that's happened to the business. And the guys did it on their own, together as a unit, executed at a high level, and I think it's elite.
And what role does the community play in business?
I mean, you have to offer something to the community, right? You can't just, I mean, a business equals how much you give versus how much you take. And a great business always gives more. And, we want people to know in our area we're not just there to, make a quick dollar. We want to be part of the community and we want to give back. We want to be a hub. We want to be a place where people hang out, where they share their victories, their losses, birthdays, their dailies, want them to be their treat. And being out there with everybody and showing our face, saying, okay, we're here, we're here in Essendon, we're here in Moorabbin, we're here in Wheelers Hill. We're a part of Malvern. I think that's strong and people are proud of that. And I think community is everything in business, I think.
And back to the fun burger questions. How do you decide which items make the cut and which items don't?
Well, whatever I think tastes good, I guess.
You're the decider, yeah?
Well, I think, it's got to be a little bit of thought. So when I develop the great menu stuff that we've developed, we treat it as a character.
Yep.
So it's like it's got a backstory. Something like the name of it's important. The top of the flavor profile. Is it unique? Is it catchy? Is it mainstream? We don't just like a club sandwich, put our version of it. A classic burger, we'll put our version on it. A loaded fries, we'll put our version of it. First of all, I think it needs to be really savoury, seasoned well. For me, I like a flavour that, hits every dopamine level in my brain. Like, I'm like biting it. So, okay, this is good. Then have another bite. Oh, that's good. I think that's how you get the cut, I guess.
And do you have a current burger that's your favourite?
Yeah, the Dan on Grammar.
Yeah? What's in that one?
So that's a double patty, Swiss cheese, truffle mayo, grilled onions. It's got a real umami flavour.
Yeah.
It's a real savoury burger and it's very satisfying.
Yeah. Well, I know what I'm having for lunch today. Where do you see Real Stacks in the next 5 years?
Well, I hope we continue to be part of our local community, and I hope people still love coming there and enjoying it. I think also I hope we continue to develop and be the best version of ourselves that we can be. So I'd love to see Real Stacks become everything it can, and that is part of Victoria, part of Melbourne. I want it to be in 5 years' time, if you come to Victoria, you got to have a Real Stacks burger. Like it's like going to the MCG or visiting the Penguins, or you got to eat at this place, like Real Stacks is up there. That would be a dream for me.
Do you think about expanding into the different states?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot.
Yeah.
And possibly one day, I don't know if that's for me.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just love Melbourne and Victoria. I want to stay here as long as I can and continue to develop the brand within Victoria.
Do you have people from other states coming to you and saying, hey, bro, you've got to open this up in Sydney or you've got to open this up in the Gold Coast or something like that?
All the time.
Yeah?
Yeah, we get that heaps. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do it. I think it's really naive to think you could just go to a whole other place and open and think it's going to be, I just don't know if I'm there yet mentally, You know what I mean? So I'd rather just stay here.
Even if you were to meet someone like a franchisor that can take over for you in that location that knows the local community and knows what works and what doesn't work, because I know that's how we expanded into different states, right? So we put out an ad and people get to choose their local territory to really own and build their business in there and become their, I guess, local expert in tax depreciation and valuations. Is that something you would also consider, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. If I was to go into state, I think having a JV partner or somebody that's in there who knows the state well, I would definitely jump at that rather than doing it on my own. I think there's an underrated word in business as well. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I just knowing what I know now and how hard it was to grow with Victoria, I think I'd have to start that again. I want to have some fun over the next 10 years as well, you know. I want to enjoy the process.
I feel like you're one of the very few people that I've heard, even like sitting on that chair, but beyond that as well, just saying like you want to, like fun is a key word for you, which I love that because personally I believe if you enjoy what you do, you're going to excel in it, right?
Absolutely.
I guess before we move on to our closing takeaways and our TDA confession, which we look forward to and love, what is one of the most unexpected challenges you faced in the business? We'll end on a hard one.
I think coming to the terms of acknowledging I don't have a solution for everything. Was quite confronting. And then in particular in the franchise world, going to business with people and they come with me and say, this is my problem. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I actually don't have a solution here. Was challenging. And that was probably the hardest thing. But, you know, we're learning and I understand that now I need to have solutions for problems and that's what I'm here for. But to acknowledge that and face it and look at somebody and say, look, I actually don't know, that was hard.
Yeah. Do you still find yourself saying you don't know, or you've got it 10 years in, got it down pat?
Yeah, I think I don't say I don't know, but I do look at it and say, okay, well, let's get to work. We've got to find a solution here. Let's get to the network. Let's get some advice. Let's do some research. And I'm a lot better at it now, approaching the unknown with vigor and curiosity and trying to get a solution.
Perfect. I love that. And so thank you, Dani, for this conversation today. We will end it at the TDA Confessional. So if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, please do that. But essentially, each episode, our guest shares a little confessional, a business confessional. And Dani, it's all yours. What's your confession?
I would have to say again, like just, you know, as you grow and move up the ladder and you surround yourself with, you're sitting at different tables.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I'm pretty naive to a lot of stuff. And I had this meeting one time and, you know, they had the business guys on the table. So you had like the head of corporations and investor guys and then I was supposed to sit with them and I'm like, no, I'll go sit because I went and sat with the chefs because that's my people. And the guy that was organising it got pretty offended, but it was naive. I didn't put myself mentally in the same seat as them.
Yeah.
So that was really rude. It's probably a really cringe thing to do is, okay, I'll go sit over there. It's probably the worst thing that I've done in terms of offending somebody. He was really offended.
Oh, wow. How did you come back from that?
I don't know. We didn't. I don't think we did. I actually don't think we did. It wasn't until afterwards. It was like the guy, one of the hosts was like, dude, what are you doing? Like he put the chair, you know, you actually disrespected the guy, but I wasn't thinking. It was like, I want to sit with my people, which was the cooks. Yeah. And that's where I felt I belong. But yeah, that was bad.
Do you think you'd make that same mistake again?
No, not at all. No. I probably wouldn't. No.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Dani, for today. It has been super knowledgeable. I've learned heaps from you and I am hungry for a burger right now.
Starving too.
So if you're listening to this, go have a Raw Stacks burger. And if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend you do that. If you're listening from interstate, put it on your list of things to do while you're in Melbourne. We're at 15 locations.
Yep.
Perfect. Do you want to list some of them before we head off?
Yeah, so we're in the CBD. We're in Melbourne, Moorabbin, Essendon, Brunswick, to name a few.
There you go. Look, he's mentioned just a few of them and already you've got pretty much all of Melbourne covered. So if there's 11 more of those came from, can't really miss it. So get on to that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Nadia.